My dear buddies, well, about an hour ago I was live on Instagram and YouTube talking about how to take care of your motorcycles and your cars during this extended lockdown period. Yes, we have already gone through about 19 odd days of lockdown, 19-20 days of lockdown, and so far I haven't created a single video talking about how to take care of your motorcycles and cars. Why? Because to be honest, 21 days is not really a long time when it comes to putting in preventive maintenance into your motorcycles or cars. So that is the reason I did not make a video. And before talking about this topic, I would like to say that, well, these are challenging times for every single person on this planet, every single being on this planet. So keep the spirit high, and you all know what to do. I don't wish to get into the depth of the coronavirus concern. You all know what to do. So keep the spirit high. Don't get demotivated. I'm going to make videos talking about how to utilize this lockdown time in the best way. Okay, regarding the topic. Now, most of us have parked our motorcycles and cars in our parking. It could be basement parking, it could be apartment cellar parking, and some even parked our motorcycles and cars outside in the sun. So now about 20 days have gone by. Okay, so within these first 20 days, it was not really a big factor to worry about, because if you go after 20-21 days and crank up your motorcycle or car, the engine most of the time should start without any problem, unless and until your motorcycle or car's battery is not in a healthy situation. Now, what does healthy situation mean? That is, in case the battery of your motorcycle or car is about 4 or 5 years old, in that case it will be at the end of the life cycle of a lead acid battery or a gel based battery. If it's a lithium battery, then they can go on for about 7 to 10 years. But most of the time the batteries that we have in our car or a motorcycle are lead acid batteries. So in case your battery is about 5 years old, then in about 21 days it can kind of discharge itself, because every rechargeable battery has its own self-discharge rate. Now, self-discharge rate is basically if you were riding your motorcycle or driving your car before the lockdown, and if the battery was fully charged and you parked your motorcycle or your car in your parking, and after about 21 days you go to crank up the engine and you notice the battery is low. Why would that happen? Because the chemical reaction inside the battery starts to fall down with time. Newer batteries means if the battery is about 3 years old or lesser, then the battery would be in a much healthy condition, and the battery can hold the charge at least for a month, and sometimes even 1.5 months without discharging too much. Now, if the voltage of a battery is less than 12.5 volts, it means it is having less amount of power. Although these batteries are known as 12 volt DC batteries, but we need to have at least 12.5 volts for the battery to be in healthy condition. Now, forget about this part, that is the first 20 odd days of the lockdown. Those have gone by. Now we have another about 20 more days to go. Okay, the lockdown has been extended in Telangana, and the same is going to happen in many other states of our country. Now, what do we do? Okay, first, I've already mentioned, okay, healthy battery and old battery. So, irrespective of what battery you have, what right now we need to do is, if it is safe for you to leave home or go to your cellar or to your basement, okay, first take all the required precautions. Put on a mask, gloves. You can wear your motorcycle gloves, okay, and then if you don't have a mask, tie a hanky or a cloth, okay. Go to the parking, okay, and then you have to crank up the engine, that is fire up the engine of your motorcycle or your car, and then run it up so that it can charge. Ideally, in this situation, you need to have an external battery charger which you can connect it to AC power supply, and then you can charge your motorcycle or car's battery. But 99% of us don't have it, which is okay. Now in this situation, with all the precautions, go to the car or the motorcycle, and then what you gotta do is first put the machine into neutral. And if you have a center stand, put the motorcycle onto center stand. But most of the time these days our motorcycles don't have a center stand. So what you gotta do is sit on the motorcycle. Don't put the motorcycle on side stand and then run up the engine. It's okay, you can do it, but it is not this actual procedure, because the oil from the sump will not circulate in the best manner when the motorcycle is on side stand. So keep it on, if you don't have a center stand, sit on the motorcycle, keep it centered, and then keep it in neutral. And the moment you turn on the ignition, most of the time the headlight starts these days, right? So the headlight is putting load onto the battery. So what you got to do now, without wasting much time, crank. Press the electric starter fully, not half, fully. And most of the time, if the engine of the motorcycle is fine and the fueling system is fine, then your motorcycle or your car should start. The engine should start. Now, many of the experts in this industry, including automotive companies and motorcycle companies, have given suggestion that let your motorcycle run at idle for about 10-15 minutes so that your battery can charge. That is not the case, because when you're running your motorcycle or car at idle, especially your motorcycles which have an always on headlight, what happens is, understanding the battery charging system of a motorcycle, very few people actually have full knowledge in it. Fortunately, me and my team have done a lot of research on it, you know it. So there is something called a stator and rotor on a motorcycle on the left side, at the bottom, and that generates AC power. Now that generates AC power because there are permanent magnets inside it. Now when these magnets spin, they generate power. But if your motorcycle is at idle, then generally a motorcycle would idle at about 900 to 1000 or 1100 RPM depending on the motorcycle. At that RPM, the power generation done by the stator and rotor is very low. So the voltage which is coming in the end, now the stator and rotor would generate AC power, about 100 volts AC power. The 100 volts AC power would go to something called a rectifier. Rectifier converts AC power to DC power, and then the same rectifier has something called regulator. The converted AC power to DC power would still be high. So that regulator regulates the power to a maximum of about 14.5 volts, and from the regulator rectifier the power is sent to the battery. So the battery charges, and a 12 volt battery, for it to charge efficiently, it actually needs about 14.5 volts of power. So at idle, a motorcycle can stator and rotor and the whole system cannot generate about 14.5 volts. It will generate about 13 volts. So the charge would be there, but very slow charge, plus the always on headlight is already consuming power. So even if you run the motorcycle for 10 or 15 minutes, your battery is not going to charge much, because the moment you push the electric starter, the electric motor which turns the crankshaft, which turns the engine, is already consuming power from the battery. So what I suggest is, sit on the bike and open the throttle and keep the throttle at about 2500 RPM. So when your stator rotor is spinning at a higher RPM, in that case your voltage generation would be much higher. It will be about 14.2 or 14.5 volts. So that way, in about 15 minutes, your motorcycle's battery or your car's battery will charge considerably. Alright, so this is a tip for the charging of the battery for a car or a motorcycle. Now, the next important point is taking care of your tires. Now for this first 21 days, we didn't really have to think much about the tires, because unless and until your tires are old, are about 6-7 years old, or if your valve stem or the valve has any leakage, or if there is a puncture which is leaking, only in those cases the tires will kind of deflate. But a generally healthy tire and the valve stem would not deflate in 21 days. But now the lockdown is going to almost 40 days. So in this case, the tires can lose about 3 psi, sometimes 5 psi also. So generally what do? We need to have a foot pump. Okay, now foot pump is a very basic one. You can buy it for about 600 rupees or 700 rupees on Amazon or a hardware store. Okay, and top up the tire pressure. Okay, if the required tire pressure for your tire is 30, put up to 32. Okay, so generally even if you're losing air pressure, it will still come to about 30 and stay there for a considerable amount of time. Why do we have to think about the tire pressure? Because in case the tire pressure gets low, what happens is that the tire, okay, the bike or the car will be standing like this on one small patch. Okay, so if it's standing like this for 20 days, 30 days, 40 days, then this area, when the air pressure is low, it will touch the ground and it becomes flat. That is called a flat spot. So because of the flat spot, what happens is that it will become hard, the rubber will become hard, and it is not a good thing for the tire. So what we can do, in case you don't have a pump to pump up air, I mean, you can even do this in your apartment building, or ask someone if they have a bicycle, a pump. A bicycle tire pump can work for this, in case it will fit onto the nozzle of the motorcycle tire, or even a basketball pump that can also help. Say you have nothing, then in this case, don't let the motorcycle or the car tire touch the same area onto the ground for more than a week. Okay, move the bike or car a little front or back, so that you're changing this contact area of the tire to the ground. So that way, you're kind of saving the tire. Okay, so this is very important. And the next factor is the brakes. Now, a motorcycle has hydraulic brakes. Hydraulic brakes are the disc brake system. Okay, there is fluid inside, hydraulic fluid, and there is a level of pressure that needs to be maintained. Okay, so what you need to do is very simple. When you are running up the engine, that is the time you'd be sitting on the bike, moving it front and back, and when it's moving front and back, pull the brake lever back and let it go. You pull it back and let it go. Do it 5-6 times, and that will kind of engage the braking system. Okay, so that is very important, and do it for the rear brake also. And now at this point, inspect the braking lines. Okay, the brake lines, make sure there is no leakage of brake fluid. Okay, in case there is any leakage of brake fluid, then it's very rare, but just in case it happens, take a cloth, okay, and kind of secure that area. Okay, because if brake fluid leaks and if it falls onto your motorcycle, then brake fluid can instantly take off paint. Okay, very few people know about this, so make sure you check this. And next is your oil seals. Oil seals of a motorcycle, that is fork oil seals. The fork is a front shock absorber suspension. In case they don't move for a considerable amount of time, I know 40 days is not much, but just in case they don't move too much, they can sometimes fail. This can happen. So inspect the front forks. In case you see any fork oil leaking, then wipe it out immediately, put a cloth there, because that fork oil will get into the front brake caliper and it will damage the brake pads. It happened to my RC390. Okay, brake pads soaked in fork oil will be non-usable. So in case you have sintered brake pads which cost about 2,000-3,000 rupees, then you'll have to throw those brake pads away. All right, so check your front forks and kind of pump your front forks. Hold the front brake and kind of pump them so they're working fine. And next is the throttle. Okay, just kind of engage the throttle. You'll be doing that anyway for the RPM. And then your clutch. Just engage all the moving parts once, okay, so that they move. And next is in case your motorcycle or car is carbureted. I mean, only considerably vintage old cars are carbureted, but many motorcycles are still carbureted, motorcycles, scooters. In that case, use the choke, pull the choke lever, because without the choke lever, if you don't pull it and if you try to crank after 10, 15, 20 days, then you will have to crank the electric starter quite a few times and you're already discharging the battery too much. So use the choke. In case you pull the choke lever back, your motorcycle or the scooter should start within first crank itself. And next thing is how to there is a situation where your motorcycle or scooter, especially motorcycles with big exhausts, okay, at the rear, rats, lizards and other insects can go into the motorcycle's exhaust from rear, from the muffler, okay, the hole, and they can die inside, they'll stay inside, they'll lay eggs inside. So we don't want that. So what I personally do, the exhaust hole from behind, I put a cloth and kind of seal it. But be very careful before you're cranking the motorcycle up. Take out that cloth, else the exhaust gas will get trapped inside. We don't want that. And next is make sure there is not any trash or muck or anything around the motorcycle parking, because that will kind of encourage insects, rats to get around your motorcycle, and then they can bite off the wiring. And most important thing, in case your parking is under shade, okay, then don't worry about putting a motorcycle cover. People are obsessed with waterproof motorcycle covers. I already mentioned about this. They put a huge cover from top to bottom and they completely cover the motorcycle and they feel very good and safe about it. But you know what can happen? These insects, rats, lizards, they love dark spaces. Okay, and they will go into the motorcycle from underneath the cover and they will kind of make your motorcycle their home and slowly bite things off. This is a dangerous situation. This has happened to me, and the same thing is applicable to your cars also, okay, because insects, they like dark spaces. So if there is no cover, then the odds of insects going into your motorcycle, rats going into your motorcycle is very, very low. All right, and also with a cover, a waterproof cover, what will happen is that I already mentioned that there's water vapor in the air, and water vapor trapped inside the motorcycle waterproof cover will not be able to escape into the air. So early mornings, when the metal on your motorcycle, like the frame, the chain, the disc rotors, when they are cold, the water vapor will condense and it will sit on the motorcycle's metal parts and your metal parts will rust. Okay, what I do, I just put a small bed sheet onto the tank of the motorcycle. That is it, so that the tank of the motorcycle is kind of protected from dust and no one should kind of scratch it, kind of a thing. That is it. I only do that. Okay, and in case your motorcycle or the car is parked outside, okay, just in front of your home in the sun, I don't recommend you to leave home because it shouldn't be done at this moment. But if it's kind of a gated community, if it is safe, then with all protection you can go out, and if you have wax polish, okay, just put it all over the paint area of your motorcycle or your car. Don't worry about shining it, just put it so that the wax polish will give enough paint protection for now. But if it's outside, then you can put a cover, because we don't really have an option right now. Okay, put a cover, thick cover, fine, to protect the paint. But if your car is parked outside, remember, a car with the windows fully rolled up, this is summer right now. Okay, so there is something called greenhouse effect. Greenhouse effect is the sun rays will go through the glass and they will heat up the interiors of the car. So there's heat being generated in the interiors of the car, but the heat can't escape because there is glass. Okay, so imagine from 10 a.m. till about 3:30 or 4 p.m. the interiors are baking. The plastic, the leather, other components, your sound system, the speaker, everything is baking. It'll almost go up to 60-70 degrees Celsius sometimes inside. So what I recommend is to take care of the interiors of the car in the day. roll down the windows, all the windows by about 1 inch. Don't worry, no one can put their hand through that 1 inch gap and steal something from the car. So do it only if it is safe for you to go out and do it. Okay, so do it, and in the evenings you can put the windows up. That way no insects, or if it rains, water will not go into the car. And the next thing, many people asked what to do about the chain. The chains are starting to rust. Now during the lockdown situation, you can't go out and buy chain lube or WD-40 and all that. So assuming, just in case you don't have chain lube, or you don't have chain cleaner, you don't have WD-40, you don't have kerosene, you don't have diesel, because if you have all of these, as simple as this, spray WD-40, clean up the chain, rust protection is done. Take chain lube, spray it, clean out, or wipe it with a cloth, rust protection is done. You can use diesel and kerosene also for the same thing, but assume you don't have any of these at home right now. Don't worry, use coconut oil. You should be having coconut oil at home. Okay, take coconut oil, or you don't even have that, take Vaseline. You have Vaseline, okay, take that, put it on the chain. Okay, take a cloth and dip it in coconut oil and put it over the chain. But make sure don't run the motorcycle's engine while you're doing this. Don't be lazy. If you're running the motorcycle's engine in second gear, put the motorcycle on stand and holding the chain with a cloth, you can lose your finger. Okay, many people lost their fingers doing this. Okay, and many people asked, do we need to have full tank in the fuel, full fuel in the tank during this time? If your motorcycle is considerably old, and if it has a metal tank, considerably old means about 10 plus years old, then having a full tank of fuel in the metal tank will prevent internal corrosion of the tank. But in 30-40 days, it's not a big deal, don't worry about it. Okay, and also many people say that fuel becomes bad after a while. Yes, the octane rating, the chemical reaction inside petrol or diesel can go down after a while, but that while means almost 6 months, not 40 days. So after these 40 days, don't worry and go dump out all the fuel. Don't worry about that. Okay, and next thing, if you have big bikes, say if you have a bike with a 600 plus cc and all that, if it is high compression, and after the lockdown is done, because of whatever situation, if the bike is not starting, if the battery is low or whatever happens, okay, if the engine is not starting, don't worry. If you're from Hyderabad, give me a call on the National Motorcycle Helpline number. You can contact Inline4 Engineering, our company, and our engineers will visit you, and with a proper technical procedure of jump starting. Jump starting is connecting another battery to your motorcycle's battery. We can bring your motorcycle's engine back to running situation. And the same is applicable to cars. If your cars don't start, don't worry, we are there for you. Give us a call. And if you have an automatic car, automatic transmission, it's a bigger problem. You can't even push start the car. So give us a call. Okay. And the numbers for National Motorcycle Helpline and Inline4 Engineering are in the description of this video. Plus, even with big bikes, now you might say that we can push start big bikes. Yes, push starting a big bike or any bike is a standard procedure. It's a mechanical procedure, but very few people have experience in doing this. Now imagine you're sitting on a huge super bike or a 600cc or 650cc, it could be an Interceptor, Ninja, whichever, and someone is pushing from behind, and you would have to technically reach some speed like about 20 kilometers an hour and then engage the second gear, and the moment the engine fires up, you have to pull the clutch back and put the throttle up. It's a procedure. Now in case you haven't done it before, please be careful, because you can fall off the motorcycle. Okay, and these big bikes, when they fall, the fairing can break, the tank can take a dent, and it's expensive to fix them. So give us a call, we are here for you. If you're not from Hyderabad, still give us a call. We will explain what you can do depending on what motorcycle or what car you have. And I was saying, am I missing any points? Yes. Disc brake rotors, they can rust too. Okay. So when this happens, you need a disc brake cleaner. That's a spray. But assuming that not many people have it, what you can do is simple. Okay. Right now, take detergent, clothes washing detergent. It could be Ariel, Rin, Surf, whatever. Take it. Okay. Just a little bit in a mug. Okay. Dip a clean cloth. Okay, make sure the cloth doesn't have oil or anything. Clean cloth into the detergent and clean the disc brake. Okay, the disc rotor, and that's it. After you clean it with the detergent, take again fresh water, dip fresh cloth into fresh water and clean it. Okay. Now you might say that there could be some residual soap left on the disc rotor. It's a good thing for now, because that residual soap will make sure that further rusting will not happen for now. But after the lockdown period is over, the moment you take your bike out, the brake will not be very effective. But don't worry, keep applying brake for 2-3 kilometers, and after that the residual soap will just vaporize and the brakes will be functional to normal situation. Plus, engine oil, you don't have to worry about the engine oil, because in 40 days the engine oil doesn't go bad. But in case your engine oil has been there for a year and you've already done 5, 7, 8,000 kilometers on your motorcycle, then I would say it's a good time to replace the engine oil also after the lockdown period. And you can contact us Inline4 Engineering for any issue on your motorcycle or general service or anything after the lockdown. We will even have a camp of checking all your motorcycles after the lockdown in Hyderabad, so that even if you have 1% doubt regarding your motorcycle, you can contact us. Even for a car you can contact us, but we are primarily for motorcycles. So that's it, buddies. In case I missed any points, do put them in the comment section and we can discuss in the comment section. Thank you very much. Keep the spirit high. We will come out of this corona situation, and the world will again be a great place. It is still a great place, but we are all going through very challenging times. So do your bit for the animals on the street, do your bit for people who need you, who don't have food, and do contribute for the PM Relief Fund, CM Relief Fund, whatever. It could be 100 rupees also. Do it. Our company Inline4 Engineering, we have contributed 21,000 rupees. It's not that we have too much money in our banks, but we have done whatever we could from our side, and plus we are even feeding the street dogs every day from our own food reserves. Thank you, buddies. Take care. And if you're not subscribed to our channel, then you're missing out on important videos like this. I'm there on Instagram and Facebook, and thank you. Bye-bye.